This clip could have its own in-depth analysis, but I'm just going to do a simplified quick one for you to give you the main points. The point of contact between the two acrobats is the hand. That is the woman's base of support. Both performers need to make sure that the woman's center of mass remains above the base of support or she will fall. The woman needs to make sure that even though she's changing the shape of her body, the center of mass needs to remain in the same position or relatively close to the same position. The man's job is to provide as stable a base of support as possible, which he can adjust if need be. Any adjustments the man makes to the woman's base of support has to factor in a few key variables. Number one, he has to make adjustments slow enough that the inertia of the woman's body doesn't overcome her stability. In order to maintain stability, the woman needs to counteract the force of inertia through adaptive use of body tension and micro adjustments to her position. This happens both when she's accelerating and decelerating. Number two, he can't position her outside of his ability to bear her load. That is, he can't move her center of mass into a position outside of quality structural integrity. Alignment and joint angles greatly affect geometric strength. Without getting into more complex physics and mechanics, just know that the moment arm will drastically increase the torque necessary or the strength necessary to bear the weight if alignment breaks. A simple way that you can visualize this is imagine holding a 10 kg directly over your head with a straight arm. It's not too challenging, right? Now imagine holding that same weight parallel to the floor out to the side. It's way more difficult, right? If you've never tried this, try it. You will believe me. You will be a believer. Since the man has excellent structural alignment in his arm, this is the best position for his bones and joints to bear the load. In this alignment, his muscles only have to work to maintain the alignment. His arm is effectively a column bearing the weight, with the muscles acting as tension support cables keeping the column's structural integrity. In a later video, we'll discuss tensegrity and its relevance to human movement and martial arts, but for now, let's just keep on track, balance and stability. One thing worth taking note of here quickly is notice how the female acrobat uses this hand to stabilize her body. This use of the arm as a support structure makes it much easier for her to initially stabilize and find her center of mass or a balance point before moving on with the routine. Alright, so here's one last video analysis before we move on. You'll notice that there are a lot of similarities in this video and the previous one. Primary difference being that the man is using a bent arm technique. This allows his base of support that he's offering to the cheerleader or the woman above him to be a lot more adaptable. It requires a lot more strength, but he uses both hands in most instances. And yes, this allows him to be a bit more adaptive in his assistance of her balance. The woman here is working on keeping her body tense for stability and maintains a fairly consistent point of center of mass, even when moving. One thing worth noting about the bent arm technique is it is far better suited for the popping motions being performed here. The previous clip demonstrated smooth, consistent transitions over relatively long periods of time, whereas in this video, emphasis is being placed on quick, explosive transitions. This bent arm technique puts far greater strain on the man's muscles, but it gives him room in his joints to extend, generating vertical force for throwing her up, and room for flexing in order to absorb her inertia when she comes back down due to gravity. The man is coordinating the same functions in his legs to greatly amplify this ability. I think you'll agree it's a very impressive display of athleticism by both performers. It should go without saying, but the entire body needs to work in unity to perform these actions.